If you look to the right, you will see two huge archways in the city walls. These were built to allow steam trains in and out of the city walls into York's first permanent station. Designed by architect George Townsend Andrews, it opened inside the city walls in January 1841. It was built for the York and North Midland Railway Company, chaired by George Hudson. Much of the land required by the railway company was owned by York Corporation, of which Hudson was the leading member. An agreement was reached between both parties, and permission was granted to pierce the city walls and rebuild them with arched entrances. The first in 1839 and the second one in 1845, when increased traffic led to the enlargement of the station. But as more lines opened to new destinations, the station was becoming congested. Through trains coming into York had to reverse out of the restricted site to continue their journeys. Finally, a new, bigger station was opened outside of the walls in 1877.
Connections to London could be made. The capital could now be reached in 14 hours. Hudson was greatly involved in the construction of lines in and out of York, which suddenly became a focal point in the rapidly growing railway network in the 1840s. Heavy industry arrived in the city for the first time, resulting in the employment by the 1880s of around 5,500 staff at the railway engineering and carriage works in nearby Holgate. York enjoyed a boom in tourism, welcoming excursions from not just London but Manchester and Nottingham. The railways also helped the development of the city's confectionery industry, able to transport goods, raw ingredients, and open up new markets for the likes of Rowntree's and Terry's. By 1844, George Hudson controlled more than 1,000 miles of track, earning him the title the Railway King, having turned York into a major railway hub. By now elected as a Tory MP in London, Hudson's business empire collapsed towards the end of the 1840s amid financial irregularities and scandal. Having admitted his offences, Hudson then offered to repay his investors but fled to France, only returning to Yorkshire in the mid-1860s when he was arrested and briefly imprisoned. Hudson spent the remainder of his life living in London with his wife Elizabeth. He died in 1871 and was taken to York by train to be buried at Scrainham, near his birthplace.
As we go over Lendal Bridge, you will see some fabulous views of York's riverside, the paths and jetties to the left and riverfront buildings to the right. Lendal Bridge is the second of York's three main road bridges, constructed over the River Ouse in the 1860s. The bridge was built to relieve the increased volume of traffic due to the railways. A river ferry had operated around here since at least the medieval era, but that was put out of business in the mid-2000s. Initially designed by William Dredge, disaster struck early on in the construction work when the bridge collapsed, killing 5 men. A new architect, Thomas Page, who designed Westminster Bridge, took over the project, building the current Iron Bridge. The ornate parapet contains the Lions of England, the cross keys of the Diocese of York, and the White Rose of York. The city's coat of arms can also be seen in the ironwork, as well as the initials V and A, representing Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. Small lodges, standing on the right-hand side, were once toll houses, but are now cafes. Straight in front of you is York Minster. It is a short walk to our most famous building from the next bus stop. Ahead you can see the Minster's west window, nicknamed the Heart of Yorkshire, due to the shape within the stonework of the window. To the lower right of the window is one of the newest additions to Minster, the statue of Queen Elizabeth II, unveiled by King Charles III in 2022.
This brings us into Exhibition Square.